Lovely. I suppose I should probably actually start this video rather than procrastinating it. I feel like I'm going to look back at the footage for this and realise it's just a lot of me rambling in a slightly hyperactive fashion. So kudos if you make it all the way through this video. Okay, having a pretty shit day mentally, not gonna lie, it happens. I think mental health is something I want to talk about in its own video. But for today, I felt like it would be useful to work through my goals and things I want to sort of achieve in terms of running mostly and fitness this year, and just organise my head a little bit because it's all over the place. I assume this is happening for like a lot of people, so I just feel like it's going to be useful for me to talk through what I want to achieve this year, and I don't know, maybe it'll help someone else figure out how they want to tackle their goals for the year, because everything's weird and strange still for everyone, and trying to plan ahead is I think we're all in the same boat really, aren't we? So here we go. So I have some like non-running and fitness related goals, kind of. I'm retraining to be a fitness instructor at the minute. So I'm doing my level 2 gym instructor stuff, which is on hold at the minute because all the gyms are closed. As part of all of that, I'm basically essentially hoping to work up to being a level 4 fitness instructor in the long run. So there's other stuff going on, like I'm doing a nutrition course, and other things will happen, like I'll have to do sort of specific kettlebell courses and stuff as time goes on. But that'll kind of unfold gradually over the course of this year, so that should be cool. It'll be nice to kind of, hopefully, once I've got my level 2, start looking for jobs in the fitness industry. That would be nice. But in terms of things that I suppose matter the most to me on an emotional level, most of my goals are running related, and I have a couple of non-running related fitness goals that I'll talk about in a bit. So, like many people's plans, last year things kind of went down the pan a bit. I was hoping to run my first ultra last year. It was going to be a 50 miler, not too much elevation, so it's quite a nice ultra race for my first one. And I kind of like had all of these plans that I was going to do that, and then basically like start training for a bigger ultra this year and all of this stuff, and maybe do like a multi-day running adventure at some point, like running the coast to coast, all of these things. I had so many dreams. Obviously the ultra got cancelled, because of course it did. It was in October, which was when things were still awful and all over the place, so that got cancelled. When it got cancelled, I kind of decided that I would still keep training for like a 50-mile distance, and I'd just pick a route myself and do like a self-supported ultra, so I'd still get an ultra done in 2020, and I could still have that like in the bag and work on to the next thing. Unfortunately, due to just general inexperience and over-eagerness, I think was definitely a factor, I overtrained. I ramped up my distance way too quick over the space of about 3 months, I think. I kind of went from 15 kilometers per week to like 85. It's too fast. It was too fast. My body rebelled quite significantly. My hormones went all over the place. My period disappeared, which is never a good sign. If that happens, so you need to keep an eye on it and dial back until it appears again. If you're someone with female biology, then keeping an eye on your periods is super important. If they stop, and they stay stopped for a long time, it's an indication that your body is then not going to be producing enough estrogen to essentially keep your bones strong, and in a worst case scenario, if that goes on for too long, you can have broken bones, amongst other problems, like your hormones will just go absolutely bloody haywire as well. It's not fun. Not fun at all. Anyway, menstrual problems aside, things kind of went down the pan a little bit, and I had to like back off training and just go back to doing basically just easy runs for a little while, until I kind of built back up enough and I could do a little bit more speed work and maybe start to build my distance back up a little bit, but I kind of kept it steady for a while. Words. I did run a marathon for the first time last year, which was really cool. I ran it with my stepmom. She was doing the virtual London marathon, but she hadn't been doing like full marathon training over the summer because she just didn't know if it was going ahead, so she didn't want to like basically run herself into the ground doing loads of marathon training. So she'd eased right off. I had kind of eased off my distance, so we figured we'd just run it together, and just kind of plod around, take a bunch of food with us, and you know, just have a grand old day out running around Rutland Water. And yeah, it was really nice. We did it in 5 hours and 38 minutes, I think was our moving time, which is obviously really slow, but it was a good day, and I feel like I learned quite a lot from the experience, which was the main thing. So that was a positive thing to come out of last year, is I did run my first marathon, and it was a super useful experience, and it was really slow, so I should be able to PB on a marathon time really easily this year. Essentially, I didn't achieve any of the running goals I'd planned to achieve last year, which sucked, but then I kind of accidentally did a thing I hadn't done before and really enjoyed it anyway. So that was kind of an alright way to sort of round off the running year in a sense. Unfortunately, shortly after the marathon, I went and dropped my camera, this one, on my foot and gave myself a small fracture, so I had to lay off running for a full 2 months to make sure that was healed, and we are only just like edging my distance back up now, which has been really annoying, but I'm just glad to be running every week again. It's been so frustrating. So now that I've had a few weeks back to running, and I'm now back to like 2 runs a week, they're still quite short runs, but it's happening twice a week, so I'm happy about that. I have kind of started to calculate what I want to achieve this year with regards to running, and part of the main thing I need to start with is being much smarter about my training and nutrition, and making sure that is kind of dialed in and not trying to rush into things like I did last year. This is already helping me feel better. I feel a lot less awful than I did even half an hour ago. I do want to run an ultra this year. It's going to be the same ultra that I was aiming to run last year, which is the Round Rotherham 50 miler. So I will be working towards that, and I have kind of started to calculate what my running distances need to be each week over the next 7 months, which I realise is a really long time, but I haven't set myself like a strict training schedule. I've just basically been like, these are the kind of distances I need to be aiming for to still sort of have the endurance and the training in the bag for being able to complete the 50 miler. I'm not really like aiming for a really fast time or anything for my first one. It's just want to sort of get round and use it as a learning experience. I think it's not going to be something that I want to like try and win or anything, which is not going to happen because I don't have the time, I think, to build myself up to be able to achieve that kind of level of performance. The 50 miler is my main goal. I'm going to very gradually build up my training. I'm still conscious that the injury might reappear, so my distance increases are still going to be really slow. I'm going to be sticking to 10% or less for my weekly increase in distance. This really slow build up means that I'm not going to be running anything longer than a 10k for a training run until late May, I think. I feel like this might be quite frustrating for me because I want to run far. I really like going on really long runs, so it's going to be, yeah, frustrating to sort of rein myself in and not add more distance on. However, I know that if I stick to my guns and tackle it in this kind of much more steady and slow manner, I have a lot greater chance of achieving what I want to achieve at the end of the year. So for the moment, I'm just focusing on basically some easy mileage. I think I'm going to start to throw maybe a few strides in at the end of my runs, because I'm just doing easy runs at the minute, but I do need to start thinking about sort of adding different paces in there, because it's not good to do all of your training at one running pace. So I think strides will be a good way to just sort of chuck in at the end of an easy run and start to like vary up a little bit, and then in a few weeks I'll start adding a bit of speed work in, so that I'm starting to do more of those kind of hill reps and just some like sprints on flat ground and stuff to start to build up the different techniques that I'm going to need over the course of a longer race. I have kind of got a lot of running goals this year, which it might be a little bit over ambitious, but I think they're all realistic, really. I'm going to talk through them and then I'll decide whether they're realistic or not, maybe when I've said them out loud, and see how crazy they sound. I was looking at my personal best times for previous distances, and I think I can PB on like a lot of things this year without actually running myself into the ground. I feel like it's pretty achievable. I hope. With shorter distances like the 5k and the 10k, my current PB for the 5k is 22:31, and I did that back in 2019 at the Exeter Riverside Park Run, which is really flat, so that's a good course to PB on. But I also wasn't doing a lot of like dedicated training at that time either. I was doing the park run each week and like one other run, I think, and some strength training. I think I was doing some strength training, but it wasn't super crazy. So I feel like if I could do 22:31 without doing like a lot of running training, I can definitely do faster than that without too much trouble. I think that's really doable, and I think I could probably do it this year, just as part of like a time trial. Even during my normal training, I think I could do that. So the 5k PB is something that I'm probably not going to sort of specifically shoot for. It will be something that sort of, I think, happens just as a result of my general other training, because I'm going to be doing speed work anyway, just for the longer distance. So I'm going to get faster at running 5k as well, surely. So something similar should happen with my 10k PB as well. My current 10k PB is, I forgot to write it down, go me. Oh, come on, load. Why are you being so incredibly slow? My current 10k PB is 53, my current 10k PB is 53:33, which I just kind of ran as a training run back in 2019 when I was doing very unoptimized prep for a half marathon. So I think I can beat that as well, because I was looking at the splits for that particular on Strava. You can go and like click on your PBs and look at the run that you PB'd on. So I was looking at the splits for that, and they're sort of over 5 minutes per kilometre for most of the splits. And I'm pretty confident I can get to a point where I can run like an even 5 minutes a kilometre for each split. So I feel like that's really doable, maybe even faster than that. I can definitely PB on a 10k this year, just as part of my normal training. Yeah, this doesn't sound too crazy. Please tell me if it sounds crazy. I'm also incredibly confident I can PB on a half marathon this year. I've raced one half marathon previously, back in Exeter when we lived down there, again in 2019, and I did that in 2 hours and 7 minutes with really, really badly structured training. It was it was laughable, really, when I look back on it. I'd pretty much just kind of thrown a few 10Ks in like the 2 months before the race. And I was just sort of like, oh, if I can run 10K easily, I just double it on the day. It'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be all right. What that meant was I went out way too fast, and I had like an awesome time for the first half of the half marathon, and then wanted to die for the last sort of 4 miles of it, I think. But yeah, good learning experience as always. Best learning experiences is where you get everything horrendously wrong. But my point is, if I can run 2 hours and 7 minutes with really bad training, then I'm pretty sure I can run easily faster than that with actually structured good training. I do have a place at the Sheffield Half Marathon which has been postponed again for the 3rd time. That is now going to be happening theoretically at the end of September, which is really poor timing in a sense, because the round Rotherham is the 9th of October, and obviously I should be like tapering down and not doing too much high effort at that point in my training cycle in preparation for the round Rotherham. But I think even if I use the Sheffield Half Marathon as a training run, kind of, I could probably still PB, I think, with like a good sort of, at that point it'll be about 6 months of training, a little bit over 6 months of training under my belt. I think I could still PB on a half marathon, I think. But I'm pretty confident about that. Yeah, this doesn't sound unreasonable even when I'm saying it out loud. I was assuming it would just sound like mental to PB on like literally everything this year. But no, that sounds reasonable. I think I can do that. And just because trying to PB on a 5k, 10k and a half marathon isn't good enough, I would like to get a marathon PB this year as well, which isn't going to be very difficult because my current marathon, my only marathon that I've run, was really slow. So it should be pretty easy to just run a marathon at some point this year. I'm just going to do a solo marathon. I haven't entered a marathon. It'll just be like a solo trail marathon, I think, in the Peak District. I'll do maybe around like Lady Bower and Howden and Derwent reservoirs, because that's sort of a good marathon route. Actually, you can get a full marathon out of running around all three of those reservoirs, and there's not too much elevation. And the previous marathon time I have is on a mixture of like trails and paths and stuff anyway, so that's not going to be too different. I think that would be a good place to do that. So it won't be like a proper marathon in the sense of being a road marathon, but it will be a marathon. It'll just be on trails, but not particularly difficult trails. So I think that's a good thing to do, because there'll be a point in the summer where I can probably throw in like a marathon run into my training, and it won't sort of mess anything up, essentially. And it won't be like sprinting or going all out. It'll just be literally beating a time of 5 hours and 38 minutes, which shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be difficult at all. On the much shorter end of the scale, I do have my 1k and mile PBs from last year. I PB'd on these. So apparently my 1k PB is 3 minutes 52 and my 1 mile PB is 6:35, which I think I can also improve on with just general speed work that I'll be doing and endurance and strength training. I think I can just smash all of these out. I don't think that sounds unreasonable. It seems very achievable to me. With just looking at the loose training plan that I've kind of sketched out, yeah, pretty confident actually. Feel quite happy having sort of talked that out into the outside of my brain. So I have entered a couple of races in the summer. They're trail races, so they're not going to be sort of PB races, but it'll still be interesting to see where my general time is at in terms of race efforts. And I'm probably not going to go all out for those, because I'll still be sort of in my training towards the ultra side. I don't know, I'll have to see how I feel basically. If I'm feeling really strong, then I feel like I can put out a proper race effort without jeopardizing anything else, then sure, I'll go for it. I just have to see sort of how I handle training as a whole and how I respond to it, giving myself like longer to build up to those sort of bigger weekly distances. I have a rescheduled race in May. Don't know if it's going ahead. I think it's about 14 kilometers, which, you know, it'll be on trails. It's not going to be like mega fast or anything. And then the 2 races in the summer are a 10k and a 12k. So again, they're not going to be huge distances or anything, and I should be able to sort of like bash them out fairly easily without completely knackering myself out that week. Yeah, just it's something to try and look forward to, isn't it? I don't know if they're going ahead, so if they do go ahead, it'll be really nice. And if they don't go ahead because of COVID things, then, you know, I'll just, I don't know, bash out a time trial that week or something, just to see where I'm at in terms of speed. Main goal, ultramarathon, 50 miles, get round it in a reasonable time, I think, is just going to be my main running goal for the year. As part of that wider goal, I want to get way better at my recovery and nutrition, get those really dialed in, because those were things I was not focusing on enough before. And then as part of my general training in the build up to that ultra, I feel like I can just sort of hit PBs for various other distances as part of my training without really taking too much out of my training for the ultra. Yeah, I think if I'll get to like a good level of fitness, I think, and I'll just be able to smash those out. I'm pretty sure. I feel pretty confident about this. Non-running fitness goals are pretty much, I would like to be able to do a 1-arm chin-up. So that's something I'm working on in terms of upper body strength, which I have a long way to go. I can only do sort of assisted negatives at the minute, which, yeah. The one-arm chin-up could easily take me the full year, might even take me longer. It just sort of depends on how well I get that training slotted in amongst everything else. I sort of haven't ever really focused on calisthenics, but it's always been like a part of my training, because I like to try and keep a well-rounded training program going, so I do upper body strength work. It's slacked off a bit over the last few months, so I'm just kind of building that back up again. So yeah, that's going to take me ages. I'm not really expecting to have a one-arm chin-up by the end of the year, but it would be cool if I could get there. I'm just going to sort of chip away at it, try and focus on getting like 2 solid sessions in a week. Working on that is going to be my primary goal, and we'll just sort of see how far we get. And there's probably a lot I need to learn in terms of sort of optimizing those workouts and doing exercises that will help me the most and build my strength up the most. But it's going to take me ages, so I'm just not going to worry too much about that goal. It's a goal, but it's a loose goal. It's just something I'm going to work towards, and I'm not going to stress too much about it, which is kind of how most of these goals are working out anyway. It's good to have goals, but don't let it just like consume your entire being, because that'll just become extra stress and it'll be unenjoyable. And then if it's unenjoyable, what's the point? If you've got this far, then thank you for listening to me blabbering on for so long. I realise this has been sort of a little bit less formal than some of the more recent videos I've done, but I think that's kind of the style I'd rather aim for. I've been a little bit too rigid for my liking in the last couple of videos, so that's sort of where these things are going to go, I think. And it was I just needed to clear my head and structure my thoughts a little bit, and just talking does help with that. So if you've stuck around to listen to that, then thank you. It's just been mostly an exercise for me to organise my thoughts, but I don't know, maybe it was helpful to listen to. Maybe you've had some ideas for how to structure your goals and tackle this year. Going forward with channel content, I will keep doing some of these sort of like chatty videos where I'll discuss topics related to fitness and running and whatnot, but there will be more training vlogs. I would like to do sort of proper training vlogs, not just me out on the run itself, but what I do before I go out, kind of the activation exercises, what I eat before I go out on a run, what I eat after, how I stretch out, the kind of recovery exercises I use. And as my training picks up again, that kind of thing, I think it will be useful for me to do, to sort of document the training process, and also to look back on and see, you know, whether I made any mistakes or whether I could be doing things better, basically. So hopefully those will be useful for people as well, but it will be really useful for me, I think, just to document that training process as I work towards being able to run an ultramarathon. If you stuck around for the whole thing, then thank you, and if you have enjoyed it, I guess click the subscribe button or like the video, or both. Why not both? There is a lot more content on the channel if you want to go and check out other videos. There's lots of like hiking and running and wild swimming vlogs and stuff, so if you're interested in outdoorsy stuff, then yeah, go check those out. And yeah, if you want to subscribe, we'll see you around in the future. Until next time, goodbye.